So the tiny fox child has won the poll, and I'm committing to my duty. I went with something that I thought would be funny, mainly because I kinda joked about it before. I don't even know where I learned it from, I can't remember, but it's gonna be fun. I think Huohuo was the first abundance character I ever pulled for. I don't even remember why I did so, I kind of just saw her banner and thought she looked cute, so yeah, I wanted her. I mean, she's cute, she's tiny, what more can you ask for? I feel so bad for her too. She's just surrounded by monsters and heliobi, even though she's terrified of them. But at least she has a lot of good people on her side. A member of the ghost hunting squad and the sweetest of them all. Of course that means we need to give her the perfect build, doesn't it? Or is this just my way of spreading my agenda? I don't know, I'm just committing to it now. Anywho, this is what I've got for her. You know, there are just characters that you see and you instantly know that they're a mage. It's not based off of their combat abilities or their affinities for weapons or anything. You just look at the character and you just think to yourself, that's a mage. Not gonna lie, that's what I thought when I first saw Huohuo on her banner. I looked at her and my conclusion was that she was never born to wield a weapon. Is that a compliment? I love mages, I won't lie. And it's not just because I don't know how to build a monk. Okay, maybe that too, but my point still stands. Anyway, I made Huohuo a tabaxi, mainly because that's my fox race stand-in for these kind of videos. Of course, there's this very popular kitsune homebrew out there that you can use if you don't like the tabaxi stand-in. But from my experience anyway, it is far more easier to convince a DM to allow you to reflavor an official race than to bring in a homebrew to their table. But that's just my experience, of course. I don't really know what your DM stance on this is, but just in case, you know. Tabaxis have an increase to their dexterity and charisma, they have dark vision, you can double your speed during combat, allowing you to move further, but afterwards, if you wish to regain this ability, you won't be able to move for one turn. Which is fair, honestly. You have cat claws, which increases your climbing ability, as well as switching your unarmed strikes to slashing damage instead. And you also get proficiencies in stealth and perception, because, you know, cats. And now for her class. Something that I saw online at some point and I thought it would be really funny, and somehow it suited Huohuo. Somehow. The Divorce Lock, or in Huohuo's case, it's 4 levels in Warlock and 3 levels in Cleric. Is this an optimal build? Absolutely not. It's weird, but it makes sense for this character. The Warlock part is kind of obvious here, having a heliobus sealed to her tail, and attracting ghosts wherever she goes. It really feels like a struggle that your average Warlock would go through, because of either a deal they made or a curse that was put upon them. As for the Cleric part, she's the team's healer. That's all I can say about it, really. The reason why your team survives Apocalyptic Shadow, be nicer to her. As for her Warlock patron, I decided to make Mr. Tail a genie of some kind. Not just because his design kind of reminds me of a genie, but also cause he's arrogant and over the top enough to be one as well. I went with a free tea for him, specifically because it gives you access to some really nice fire spells. I'm eyeing the fireball right now. And because, to me anyway, Mr. Tail looks like he's made out of fire. I know he's technically not, but let me wish, okay? At first level, you get the ability called the Genie Vessel. You can go into it a bit more, but honestly, I kind of dropped this part of it, mainly because it didn't make sense for Huohuo as a character. Yes, you can keep it if you want to, because it can be very helpful in certain situations, but it kind of messes with what I'm trying to build here. For me anyway, I'd rather just stick to the second part of this ability and reflavor it a bit to make it similar to her ultimate. I flavor it where Mr. Tail aids Huohuo by giving her extra fire damage for her attack rolls equal to her proficiency bonus. Just to make it fair though, you could also make it so that the ability generates an orb of light near Huohuo, where if it's destroyed, the ability drops. Or you could just make it a version of Mr. Tail, where it works similar to how the lamp would work, and once Mr. Tail has been taken out, Huohuo's ability drops too. You can also say that Mr. Tail will need an hour of rest if he gets knocked out before he can be brought back again. Just something to make the ability work as intended without causing any problems. Anyway, for her pact boon, I went with Pact of the Chain. So you can have a little pet version of Mr. Tail, which would aid you in battle. I also made him an Emberborn, and here are the stats for him. I couldn't find a fox familiar, so I chose violence instead. Anyway, for her Eldritch invocations, I went with Eldritch Mind to help her with her concentration saves, and Eldritch Sight, which gives her the ability to detect magic, which makes sense to me. She's technically a judge in training for the 10 Lords Commission after all, so yeah. After all of that, we now have her Cleric side. What domain shall we give her? Well, of course, it's the Grave domain. Again, 10 Lords Commission, hunting spirits, banishing them. The Grave domain gives her some fun spells to use, and you also get a free Spare the Dying cantrip. That comes with her first level, and you can cast it 30 feet away from you, and it also counts as a bonus action instead of an action. Plus, whenever you roll the dice to heal a character from 0 hit points, you instead use the highest rolls possible on those dice. So yeah, free full heals if you have a downed ally. As an action, you can also detect the undead around you, and until the end of your next turn, you can sense all undead creatures 60 feet around you. That isn't behind total cover. You can use this feature as many times as you wish, equal to your wisdom modifier. But this ability doesn't tell you what kind of undead it is, not their identity, their capabilities, so on. You just know that they're there. And at 2nd level, you get your channel divinity, which allows you to screw over any enemies entirely. You can curse a creature 30 feet from you until the end of your next turn, making so that whenever an ally attacks the creature, it is vulnerable to any attack that is done to it until the spell ends. For Huohuo specifically, I would debate over what abilities you are more likely to use. If your first and second highest rolls are very close to one another, I would set it so that her wisdom is the higher one compared to her charisma. If they aren't though, I would say charisma has to be her highest, and then wisdom. This is just for flavoring though, so don't take it too seriously. I'd then add to her constitution, then intelligence, and then dexterity, and then strength will be her lowest. And for story reasons, I gave her the Acolyte background. She is from the 10 Lords Commission, but for the sake of the D&D story, I decided to go around a different way of telling it. That and the ghost hunting thing gave me some weird ideas for her. As for her feat, I saw the unthreatening feat and I thought it would be very funny. She is literally one of the most unthreatening characters in the game. She's small and meek and sweet, and she's just a very good-natured person, so it makes sense. The feat gives her an increase to her charisma. If a creature 2 or more sizes larger than her attacks her, you can use your reaction to make yourself look really weak and unthreatening to them. This will cause them to redirect their attack to someone else nearby. This also gives you advantage on any attacks against them until your next turn. And you can only use this ability once per long or short rest. Also, if there isn't anyone nearby for the enemy to redirect their attack onto, it will still hit you. Still though, this is a pretty useful ability, especially for a spellcaster with no HP and little armor. For her languages, I went with the ones I have personally populated the Luofu with, those being Draconic and Elvish for the Shenzhen natives and the Vidyadhara, and I also tossed in Sylvan as well, for her reading ancient texts that she might come across within her job. For proficiencies, I went with Deception and Intimidation, but not specifically for her, but through influences Mr. Tail might have on her whenever he has a chance to do so. Anyway, for her magic, these are just my personal picks, and you can change them however you like. These are just what I think are best suited for her. I did try to give Huohuo less attack-heavy spells because she isn't really a heavy-hitting character. So I do recommend changing it if you want to play more into her Warlock side. But anyway, these are just what I gave her. Windlash, Wind Tunnel, and Warding Wind because the wind element, you know. I also gave her Blade War to protect her from damage. I think she'd actually have it just for that. Courage, Ray of Respite, and Reassurance because I can see her using these to help her allies and boost their morale in battle. I also gave her Comprehend Language, Protection from Evil and Good, and Bless the Dead because of her job. Dread, I actually gave her this because I can see it as her worries being transferred to another person, just out of the sheer amount that is inside of her. And of course, healing word or cure wounds for her healing ability. And because I do worry about survivability in D&D, I recommend either Eldritch Blast or Guiding Bolt as her attack spell. Anyway, for her equipment, banners, talismans, anything that Huohuo would carry on her to ward off evil spirits. Little things like that to build out her personality more and help others understand your character better. Just small little things, you know. So, after all of that, here's the fun part of the build. Well, at least it's kind of fun for me. Let's write her a story to slot her into the D&D world. Even though I took quite a few liberties with it, I hope it's something for you. A friend once told me about a girl she once knew from her old town. A neurotic child, always anxious about the littlest things, and never able to stop herself from panicking over the most trivial matters. She was good. Always so good, she said to me. Yet something bad always seemed to follow her wherever she may go. She said that it was an accident. What happened to her? She said that the little girl had once come across a small fire on the side of the road, and was tricked into allowing it to burn her tail to keep it safe. Whenever others asked her about why she allowed it to happen, the little girl never truly had an answer to give to them. She was just too kind for her own good. Maybe that's what failed her that day. She truly believed that she was helping someone, and yet it had cost her far more than she was truly willing to offer to that spirit then. A high priest had found her and immediately came to her aid as the fire burned around her. She helped her seal the creature away within her own tail, but after that, it was the last time my friend was able to speak to her in person. After everything was said and done, the girl was sent away into the temple of the priest, locked inside its walls, learning to control the vicious spirit that she had unintentionally bound herself to. She was to become an acolyte, to help with a cause she would have not chosen for herself if it weren't for that day that happened when she was a child. My friend said that she had heard stories about what became of that girl from the locals of her old town, that she had become a renowned hunter of vile spirits across the town and many nearby villages that had sent her from the temple, that she could sense the undead from miles away, and was able to create seals and protection spells that can only be found in masters. So she has become something greater than her past. I asked her after this, but my friend could only laugh at my suggestion. No, you misunderstand. Though she's talented in many ways and gifted when it comes to her unwilling profession, my old friend has not changed much from what she used to be. You see, she was always deathly terrified of ghosts, wraiths, and many versions of the undead. Since we were children, she has always refused to go near grave sites, or places that were deemed haunted by local children, and even to this day she's petrified of such things. But you said that she eradicates evil spirits. How could she be both a praised cleric of the temple and terrified of the undead? That's it, isn't it? She's always been a contradiction, hasn't she? The little child who found herself with a flaming tail. Whatever the future holds for that unlucky girl, I only hope she gets a better position for herself. You know, sometimes it's just difficult to speak. But anyway, I hope you guys liked the story that I wrote. I think I could have written it a bit better, but I also don't want to go into too much detail, in case I mess up something about her story. It's been a while since I've played through the ghost hunting event, so my memory about it is very fuzzy. Anyway though, I hope you guys liked the video, especially if you guys have reached this ramble at the end. Thank you for watching and sticking as far as you have. Anyway, like and subscribe if you like, and I hope to see you all again next time. Take care.